Okay, you guys, so I'm back. This is part two, okay? And I want to give big credit to Lower. I in my very first video, part one, um, this is the very first person to comment. Lower. They were very insightful in sharing one of their experiences and what they know a narcissist to be. And I want to say thank you because, um, oh my gosh, there's so many ways you could describe a narcissist, but it all comes back to um, someone truly feeling like they are so important. They are so, they think they're so perfect. And like I said, they really think the world, the universe centers around them. That so many different types of characteristics and behaviors can spawn uh, from that kind of attitude and that kind of belief that a person can have, and it's a very very toxic, unhealthy way to be. Now, what Laura was mentioning was that, and I can actually relate to this. I can actually relate to this because I actually know a few people who displayed the same characteristics. And Laura, I hope you don't mind me, throwing your name out there like that. But I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to talk about this in the first video, but there was so much to cover. It just, I couldn't even like just get it all there. So thank you, Laura, for mentioning this because this is important too. And by the way, you guys, go to the top right hand corner of your screen, look for the three dots, click on those three dots. That is the menu to go to the speed settings, and then put your speed settings either on 1.5x or 2x, okay? Um, because that will allow you to watch the video in half the amount of time. So if the video is 10 minutes, you can watch it in 5 minutes. If the video is 20 minutes, you can watch it in 10. If it's 30 minutes, you can watch it in 15, okay, or whatever. Because I want you guys to be able to hear everything and not feel like you don't have the time to hear it. So one more really important characteristic of a narcissist. And if there's any more, I'll do another video. But this is really crucial. And I don't even know how I missed this because I have literally experienced this. Okay? Someone who does not take accountability for their part in why something isn't working out either for them or for all involved in the situation. Okay? A narcissist in a situation where accountability is necessary won't take accountability. They won't take it. And if you go look at the video that I mentioned, the Key and Peele video of Andre and Megan, towards the very end of that, I think it's either towards the end of that video or what you'll see in there. There's a part where Andre's trying to break up with Megan. However, like I said, she appears to be cool about it all, right? But then she finds a way, because remember I said that narcissists are manipulative people. She finds a way to manipulate the situation. She pretends like, oh, she's cool, with him wanting to break up with her. And he has very good reason to break up with her if you watch the videos, okay? And you'll see. She quickly finds a way to manipulate the situation to flip everything back on him so that she can puppet him back into staying tied into the situation with her. He wants to break up with her, but she's not having it. And instead of her just saying, no, you're not leaving me, she finds a clever way to play with his mind and play with his head. You see what I'm saying? And that's a classic narcissist move. Okay? For a narcissist to take what you communicate to them and flip it back. You know what I'm saying? Now, she could just let him go. But she decided, like I said, to get manipulative. And in her being manipulative, she's like, oh, so, tell me why you want to break up. As soon as he tells her, she flips the whole thing back on him. Classic narcissist move. A narcissist loves to deflect and say that you're the issue, not them. Or to make it appear like you're the issue so that they don't appear to be at fault, or they don't appear to be the only one at fault. They can't take any accountability for anything. They don't want to, because them taking accountability is like them saying, I'm perfect. I don't do any wrong. I can't do any wrong. Nothing wrong with me. Must be you. You must be the issue. You must be the problem. That's the way a narcissist thinks. It's very unhealthy. It's very toxic, and it's very abusive for somebody to try to deflect, take the blame, place it back to you, instead of them looking and seeing, well, what did I do wrong? How did I contribute to the situation? They don't want to take any accountability at all. Okay, so Lower mentioned that, and it's like I said, it's just uncanny how I think like I said, everybody knows at least one person they can relate to um, with this kind of stuff. They mentioned, go look at their comment in the first video. In the comment section, they mentioned that, a narcissist, you could be literally bleeding out, about to die on their carpet, and instead of them caring that you're bleeding out, dying on their carpet, they're more concerned about the fact that you're bleeding out on their carpet. They don't care nothing about you dying. They're more concerned. Oh man, you just messed up my carpet. It's absolutely psycho. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Because they don't care about you or the other person. They don't care about the other people. They care more about themselves and what they care about. They care more about their agenda. They tend to have an agenda, and they tend to care more about that agenda. And like I said, it comes back to what they want and what they need. They don't care anything about what you want and what you need. They don't care anything about, other people at all, really. They may make it appear as such when they need things, or they want people to be around, or they want to manipulate. But at the the pure core of it all, you truly see when you're dealing with a narcissist that they truly don't care. Okay, it's all about them. And so, Laura also mentioned, hey, that they knew somebody that they were going through some things, and instead of them taking any accountability, they blamed it on them in the most bizarre way and said, oh, you got demons around you, da da da. I have a family member. I have a actual family member who, and they do this every single time. Every time something is not going their way, or something's not going right, or you approach them or confront them about their behavior or something they're doing wrong, you know what they do? Demons. Demons. You got demons around you. You got demons on you. You are a demon. La la. It's the demon's fault. And it's not to say that demons don't exist. I'm a highly, very spiritual person. There are angels, there are demons. I believe there are angels, there are demons. I believe there's a God, there's a heaven, there's a hell, there's a devil. I believe in all that. But, and they do have their ability to interfere in this world and to mess with people, or, angels to help people. But when it comes down to something that is your own issue, that you have to take accountability for, you need to take responsibility for, you did something, you don't get to blame it on the demons and this and that other. So that's like if you decide to go and gamble away your mortgage money, could you blame it on addiction? Yeah, you could. But you could still blame it on yourself because you didn't go get help for that addiction, right? So, but a narcissist doesn't see it that way. A narcissist will say, well, I had to do it. You don't care nothing about me. Blah, 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 blah. They won't take accountability and say, well, I know I have addiction. I know I have a problem, and I'm going to go get help for it, and I should have went and got help for it. They won't do that. They'll just flip out and act like it's everybody else's fault. And they'll say, well, I wouldn't have went and gambled if you had a job and you were bringing in some more money to help with the mortgage. That's not rational. You know what I'm saying? But to a narcissist, they will make any excuse to, to not take accountability for something. That narcissist won't take accountability for that gambling addiction and why they went to gamble and things like that and why they had a problem. So if you know someone, and to me that's like the worst abuse, mental abuse that you could place on anybody, is when there's issues going on. And this happens a lot in relationships, this happens a lot in family situations, this can happen in friendships, it can happen at work, in career, it can happen in almost anywhere. Okay, but it's very definitely common in like relationships, marriages, and definitely family situations where someone does not want to take accountability when issues keep arising and it's the same issues. And when someone is like that, you can't talk to them. So you can't even work the situation out. You can't work the situation out. You can't come to a solution. You can't find a resolution. You can't make it, no one is able to make any compromises. No one is able to fix anything. Counseling doesn't even work for a person like that. I knew somebody who, I'm not going to say who, but I literally knew somebody who went to marriage counseling. And they never could resolve the issues. In fact, the counselors got upset. The counselors got upset with them. And the other person told me this is what happened, that they went to marriage counseling, with their spouse. This is before they got divorced. And they couldn't get anywhere with them. The counselors got upset with their partner, their spouse, because that person wouldn't take any accountability. They just want to shift all the blame to the other person, which is to them. And that other person was willing to take their accountability. Their spouse, however, wasn't willing to at all. They just wanted to just keep shifting the blame. No, it's them, it's them, it's them, it's them. And they refused to acknowledge or see their faults. Even though their faults were so obvious, it was obvious to the counselors who didn't even know them personally. This was like their just their first few sessions, and they were just like, you know what? We can't help you guys because you're willing to take accountability, this other person. The other person isn't. The other person's in so much denial, and it wasn't even denial like they couldn't see it. They could see it. They just didn't want to acknowledge it. They didn't want to see it. Okay. Occasionally you get a narcissist that they really truly just can't see it, but a lot of them, most times, they know they're at fault. They just do not want to accept accountability, because to them it's like saying they're a bad person, or it's like saying they're less than perfect. And they do not want to be seen as less than perfect. There's no way. Oh no, they cannot be seen as less than perfect. They're good. They don't want to be seen as the bad guy and things like that. They take a very immature perspective towards accountability, and they don't understand that it's not looking like the bad guy. It's just being honest with oneself and being honest with others, and just saying, okay, you know what, this is the part I played. It doesn't make me the bad guy. It just means I need to do better, or that I have room to improve. Okay. But like I said, a lot of times a narcissist, they don't want to do that. Okay, so it's a pathology of sorts. It's definitely a pathology, and it's sad, but it's not a strong belief in the field of psychology that a narcissist can recover and not be any longer a narcissist. I mean, there are possibilities there, but a lot of times it just doesn't happen because it's a pathology. It's somebody who they absolutely are aware. They just choose to not, care. They just choose to be exactly who they are because that's who they want to be and that's who they're comfortable with. And it also comes from a selfishness, a deep ingrained selfishness. Like I said, whether they were raised to be that way or they just happen to just, that's a part of who they are, or it's a mental quirk, you know. Um, so I really felt the need to come do the part two, because this was something I did want to include in the first video, but it's just so much to cover under the topic of a narcissist slash toxic person. Um, and that video was already an hour, and I think I was ready to end it and go eat. I didn't already ate by now, and I'm so glad that Laura commented, sharing their insight, because that is very, very crucial to understanding the other characteristic of what a narcissist could be, because it's going to be different for everyone in terms of how they see the characteristics displayed in a narcissistic person or toxic person that they're dealing with. Okay, and that was Laura's experience, and I just shared some of mine that were very, very similar. Because, like I said, if you're dealing with a narcissist, many of us got very similar, same stories, or just the same sentiment of what we have experienced in terms of the feelings we get from dealing with them. Okay, so they're very much it, to me, when it gets past the typical characteristics, then you start dealing with a psychopath, like literally. A narcissist is like, I hate to say this, they are like just a step or two away, depending on how extreme they are, in their temperament, and how, they choose to be. They're very much borderlining psychopathic tendencies. Okay, and that's dangerous. So you guys need to be careful, that you're not dealing with somebody who, they really are on that extreme. Like I said, you have people who have mild symptoms of certain illnesses or mental disorders, and then you have some people who are in the middle, and then some people who are on the extreme. If you think you're dealing with someone on the extreme, you definitely should get out of that situation. If you're dealing with somebody who has a mild case, be very, very, very careful. Very, very careful, because sometimes a mild case can turn into it can get worse, or it can become extreme. Because remember, you as the empathetic, kind, or caring, or generous person, if you're not careful, you could feed that monster. It's almost like a monster, you know what I'm saying? And you could end up feeding it, and it gets worse, or it grows larger if you're not careful. Because sometimes, or maybe I should say oftentimes, a narcissist will see the vulnerability, they will see the kindness, the generosity, they will see the opportunity, and they will sometimes see how far they can go, how far they can get, and what they can get away with. They will literally abuse the situation and abuse you as a person, okay, or abuse others, period. And it's sick, but if you look at the Me Too movement, that's classic, that kind of behavior. There's tons of narcissists in there, that they end up being, predators, sexual predators to other people, because they have this entitlement complex, and they think they're above everyone. And they know they're in a position of power, and therefore they let it go to their head, and they will take advantage of it, and they feel like it is, their right to be entitled to whatever and whomever, and you dare not question it, you dare not reject it. And the moment you do, well, I'm not going to give you this, or I'm not going to give you that. Or they try to blackmail people, or soil their name or their reputation, or whatever. And that's another thing you have to be careful for. A narcissist, sometimes when they feel rejected by others, like I said, they will rear their ugly head and show their ugliness. In some cases, if that means they have to make you look like the villain or the bad guy to everyone else, even though they're the villain or the bad guy, they will do that. And I actually have experienced that. I have literally experienced that. on two different levels, two different streams. On one end, I knew someone who they called up my family and they played everything off like they were such a good person and they were looking out for me, and they were trying to do what they felt was the right thing, and they literally manipulated my family members to think that they were the good person, and that I was victimizing them, and that they needed help in dealing with me. It was really them trying to find a way to get for them to rally up support, because like I said, remember, a narcissist likes to have a group or a team of people to support them, because they can't stand on their a lot of times they can't stand on their faulty truths. So therefore they need an entourage around them or people to support their false beliefs, that they are perfect, that they're not doing anything wrong, that what they're doing is okay. You know what I'm saying? That they're the victim and you're not, when you're actually probably the victim, and and they aren't, and they're the villain. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could tell you guys verbatim, and when I say exactly everything they said and how the situation was, but this would go on forever. Long story short, um, a couple of my family members fell for it, and then they were targeting me like I was the issue. And I said, wait a minute, now how is it that you allowed them to twist all the facts around? And I ended up telling them the truth, and then they end up realizing, wow, they got played, and that they helped this person. They helped this person in their plight. You know what I'm saying? And it was a learning lesson for everyone involved. Now, they didn't do it in a nasty way. They didn't do it in a nasty way. They didn't do it in a mean way. They did it in a way that actually was quite, um, it was quite funny. Because in their own way, they did it in a way that was, I want to say it was them trying to do what they felt was the right thing. Okay. Um, so I don't have any ill will towards them for that reason, because though they were manipulative, though they tried to make it seem like they were so innocent and I was the problem, is what they did. They made it seem like I was the problem, and they weren't, like they were, being weighed down and all this other stuff. They were trying to deflect so that they could get the situation to go the way they thought would be most beneficial, when they didn't have to do all that. They just really didn't. They just could have just been honest with me, and then we could have just handled it in a different situation. But like I said, I don't have any ill will because of the way they handled it. What they didn't like, and when I say they tried to make me like the bad guy, it wasn't like they literally made me look like I was like terrible or evil. They just tried to deflect it in that, um, somehow, I don't know how to describe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to describe it in a way that would make sense to you guys without you knowing the full details. And it's just too long for me to go into. But it was a very funny situation. Um, in another situation, now this situation was like, wow. When you talk about betrayal. In the other situation, I didn't feel betrayed. I just felt like they didn't have the guts to go about things the way they really could have. They did the best they thought they could, but they did it in a way that it didn't cause me any harm or anything like that. It actually was kind of thoughtful or caring the way they did it. It just was like so unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Because it put a lot of our business out there to my family that didn't need to be put out there, and it was nothing that I didn't have anything to be ashamed or embarrassed about once I told my folks the truth. It was just more so, why would you go through all that? You know what I'm saying? Because now you look kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? But in the other situation, it was very toxic. The way the other person handled the situation, where they try to paint me, being the bad guy, the villain, this and that and other, while they tried to make themselves look innocent, and like they didn't do anything wrong, and like they didn't know what they did, and like somehow I came out of the woodworks and just decided to target them or to do this and that. I mean, when I tell you they lied, they lied. They even lied about things that I didn't even know they lied about. And then I confronted them after an ugly situation broke out, because I was trying to confront them in the first place, and they didn't have the guts to confront me, so they had someone else do so, and they were very ugly to me unnecessarily because they didn't know the truth. They didn't know the truth because this person manipulated them into believing, well, this and that and other and that and that. They didn't show the whole picture. They didn't tell the whole story. They only gave them bits and pieces based off of how they want to present things. Because I said they like to make themselves look like they're the good person, they're not the bad person. You know, they want to make it look like they were a victim or like they needed, protection and things. That's a classic narcissist move. And when I confronted them afterwards, after a whole situation, escalated for no reason, broke out and escalated for no reason, because I found some things out, because like I said, they totally they just did to me, they did the worst. And they were not honest with me. When I confronted them, I found out that, yeah, they indeed went behind my back and said all kinds of crazy stuff to their family and friends, and that's why their family and friends was coming at me in a nasty way, you know. And I was like, wow, okay, you really went out of your way to be making things appear a certain kind of way, and they said this and that. They even told their family something that I had joked with them about. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that was a joke, and that was a joke between me and you. It wasn't even serious, and why would you even tell them stuff like that? And it's because at the end of the day, um, they were afraid that all the wrong they were doing was going to backlash on them, and they needed it to not backlash on them. They needed to look like they were innocent and they ain't did nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm hearing my kid back there going through change. He's supposed to be having a bath. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end this. But I just want you guys to understand, someone who's a narcissist will not take any accountability. They for anything. Anything. They will also probably be a habitual liar because of it. Because they when you don't want to take accountability for anything, that's going to cause you to eventually lie, and lie by habit, to the point where you believe your lies. And that's another thing. A narcissist, they believe the lies they tell themselves and everybody else. They eventually believe it, even if they didn't believe in the beginning because they know it's a lie. Eventually they convince themselves and everybody else that it's the truth. But they know it's the truth. They know what the truth is. You know what I'm saying? So you guys, like I said, protect yourself, protect your energy. A lot of times the signs were already there, and I saw the signs. I just, you know, I thought, because this same person, they were toxic way back in the day. And when they returned much later, I just assumed there's no way a person could still be the same that many years later. I thought, oh, well, maybe because we were young people, we were young teenagers. Young teenagers, don't know any better and things like that, but no. It's a pathology for them. They have the same characteristic traits that they did back then as an adult. And it's kind of sad, actually. It's kind of sad. But, and their family and friends they didn't help any. If anything, they actually kind of enabled this person to become much worse, or to still carry on the same thing. Because they have a messiah complex where they literally, people around them treat them like, I don't know, like, oh, because they help, I guess because they help so many people they know around them or whatever, or so many people need them, I don't know, or they tend to do kind or nice gestures with other people. And so people think, oh, they're just such a cool, you know. Um, I've seen people who could behave worse, but it's just the fact. it's just the fact, you know, like, wow. So I'm going to end this here. Okay, you guys? Comment, peace, and let me know what you think.